Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to what is our final expert workshop for the 21-day content habit challenge. Can you believe it? I'm in pieces because this has been so much fun. For the last 3 weeks coming up to, we've been having so much fun. Kind of showing up every day for our content, publishing, marketing, sharing with each other, supporting each other, and obviously learning along the way as well with these expert workshops. So I'm kind of sad to be bringing you the last one of this challenge, but we've definitely saved a pretty awesome session for the end. Yes, Paul, it did. Time flew. I remember thinking at the side of this go like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a marathon. And look, at times it has felt like that, especially for the team organizing it. But it really has flown by, and hopefully you guys have really felt that you've been building the muscle and kind of feeling more on top of your content and being more intentional and seeing results with it. All right, so let me know who is here. Hi, Stephen. Oh my gosh, I got Bonner with a sloth. I'm gonna start to sign. I'm gonna start to sign my name off like that. Hey, Dick, welcome. All right, for those of you who don't know who I am, if you've just kind of tuned into this unawares, my name is Bonner Rai, and I'm now gonna have Bonner with a sloth. And if you're wondering about the sloth, that is the mascot of Capshow, which is the company that I am a co-founder of. And along with the amazing team at Ecamm, we have been running the 21-day content habit challenge. And we have been running expert workshops with marketing, sales, and content creation experts to really help our challenge takers along the way. So today, I am super excited about today's session because it's really going to bring together all of the things we've been doing, around creating content and showing up for our community. But it's really going to help us kind of go, well, what is the point of all of that? Is to really kind of then turn them into conversions, right? But given the state that we're in right now with the world, with content marketing, it's really there's a crucial step before from going from content to conversion. There's a crucial step in between, and that's what our expert guest today is going to go into. But we're going to get into that in just a little moment here. We are firstly just going to do a little bit of housekeeping for the final time. All right. So again, if you are still trying to navigate your way throughout the challenge, hopefully by now you're like an old hand and you're like, yeah, I know where everything is, but we do have a one-stop shop for you to catch up on everything, see where everything's at and get the schedule and things like that. And very, very excitingly, we have prizes to give away. So tomorrow afternoon, we are hosting the farewell closing party. How sad. And as part of that, we will be awarding our prizes and spotlighting our standout creators. So definitely make sure to really, Deidre posted a post today inside of the group about making sure that you get in, verify your bingo card if you've been playing along, and also make sure that you submit your items for your badges so that we can get them sent to you. So that is very, very important that we do that. Okay. All right. So now let's get into today's topic. So firstly, I forgot to open with this. I apologize if my voice is coming across a little croaky. That might be a little bit annoying. I'm recovering from a cold. So I'm hoping to kick it once and for all, but I do apologize about that. Drop any remedies if you have any of how to best kick this. But yeah, let's get into the training today. I just want to mention that this is actually a recording of a training that we did inside of the Capture community with Jenna Larson, who is the co-founder and CEO of GroupTrack. So those of you who may not have heard of GroupTrack, it is this amazing software that basically helps you pretty much nurture leads from social media pretty much on demand, but in a way that isn't, like weird and robotic. So we're users of GroupTrack. We've been implementing it into our group. And it has a little bit of a learning curve, but that's why Jenna and her team are really great because they're very much on hand, to help you, use the software and kind of really get the most out of it. So that's where Jenna's background is as it relates to software, but she's also a marketing coach. She's an incredible social seller. She's one of the most authentic people I've met, who really kind of, creates content from the heart. So communicates with the audience from the heart. She's very, very transparent. She's awesome. And she also has an incredible mind for sales. So this is going to be a really, really great conversation. We're basically going to hop into it, the recording, where Deidre's basically kicked off the conversation with Jenna, and Jenna just gets straight into kind of her process for turning the content that you've been posting on social media, like of, during this challenge, and how to actually migrate that into conversations inside of the DMs, which then turn into very natural sales or not. That's the most liberating thing. Not everything has to become a sale. Like, it's totally, she talks through that as well. So it's jam-packed. It's going to be about 41 minutes. You'll note that people are asking questions along with Jenna in the original recording that we did. So I left those in because there are actually some really good questions there that they asked, and Jenna answered them. So I thought there was value in you guys actually also listening in on those Q&As. But that's not to say that you can't ask your own. So as Jenna or Deidre is talking, please do drop your questions into this comments and Q&A, and then Jenna will be back to answer them. And obviously, if I can answer them, I will do that as well. So that's just to keep in mind. But I'm going to bring Jenna up now. It's going to be her basically talking about her entire system. So make sure this one's going to be really, really, like, I watched this 3 times and I'm going to be taking notes again because each time I listen, I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, there's that piece as well. So definitely make sure that you've got your eyes and ears peeled for this. And I'll be back after the session to answer any questions. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's Jenna Larson.
Important to kind of set the tone for what the market looks like. Gone are the days where we were really excited in 2020, even through like 23, where we could literally just throw up a piece of social media content and people would throw money at you, right? No longer can you do that. It's very noisy. There's lots of competitors. There's tons of content, right? Everybody's competing. The algorithm, all the people, all the noise, like, it's just not the same game. And so what happens is everybody's using a 2020 through 2023 strategy and expecting the same result in 2024. And that is just not what we're seeing. And so people are getting really frustrated because they're doing all of this work to produce the most amazing content full of all of these nuggets and all of these genius strategies, but it's just not converting. And so people are getting really, really frustrated. And so what I want to share with you guys is the good news, right? It's not that social media content conversion is dead. It's just the strategy that you were implementing before is. And so with an upgrade to those tactics, you're going to start to see that those connections are actually going to convert into clients. And so we want to talk to you guys today about how to actually make that happen. And so again, before we get into like the what to do, I want to share a little bit about kind of buyers' behaviors, right? Again, we used to have a completely different market where people would throw money at us, but now what's starting to happen is people are a little bit more hesitant. Actually, buyers' behaviors have completely changed, right? So we have people that are a little bit burned, right? Where they have bought and invested and done all these things off of people that they've been following on social media, only to find that their program or their offer or their solution or whatever they were selling just didn't really hit the mark, right? They didn't provide the solution that the person invested in. The other thing we're seeing is that people are not nearly wanting to commit to really long-term investments or super high ticket, right? And so as we're showing up on social media, whether via podcast or YouTube or Instagram or Facebook communities, we have to be really aware of the changes to what the buyer is feeling, right? So just to recap, we've got 2 different completely situations happening. The market and the world of social media has changed, right? It's a lot more crowded, a lot more noisy, and a lot more competitive, as well as the buyer has changed. They're nervous, they're hesitant, they've been burned, and they're probably just not really buying like they used to, right? And so again, people are starting to get a little bit worried, like, oh my gosh, is this whole content thing going to work? Am I going to actually get clients when I show up for my social media? And so there are 4 things that we have to do when we look at what it is that we want to do in order to get clients from our content and the work that we're putting out into the world, right? We have our first thing, which is attracting new people, right? We call that lead generation or prospecting. So this is where we're going to go put our content on different platforms and hope that we can attract people with our message, right? This is what I'm doing right this second, being in front of you, in front of her audience, and getting, access to new people that have a potential problem that I can solve, right? So we want to make sure that we're going out and we're doing this lead gen to get in front of what we call yellow cars. So I want to talk about your ideal client for just a moment, right? We use this concept of yellow cars equaling your ideal client. So when you think about this, right, if I were to ask you, how many times do you see yellow cars driving around? You would be like, never, right? Like I hardly ever see yellow cars. But all of a sudden, if you were like, wait, a yellow car is my ideal client, and therefore, every time I see one of them, there's going to be a dollar sign above that yellow car, guess what starts to happen? You got it. You start seeing yellow cars everywhere. Now, here's the thing. You can either sit on the highway and hope and pray a yellow car drives by and start chasing them, right? Or you could say, wait, let me see, where do the yellow cars park, right? And let's go in front of them. And that is the beauty of social media, right? Right now, all of you guys who are listening are my yellow cars, right? You're interested in content and getting clients, right? You can do the same thing, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook groups, all of these things. So the first thing that we have to do when it comes to getting clients through our content and social, we have to say, wait a minute, who's our yellow car and where do they park? Then we want to go in front of them so that as we're presenting, we're actually talking to the right people with the right messaging. We're speaking to their actual problems and needs so that they're like, oh my God, yes, you are my person. You are the person who actually has the problem I can solve, right? So that's going to be step one in kind of like our funnel, right? The top part is making sure that we're going where the yellow cars park. We're getting in front of our ideal clients and we're speaking to them in a way that is going to resonate, okay? So if you guys know who your yellow car is, I want you to drop a description in the chat of exactly what your yellow car is, okay? And then I want you guys to think about where your yellow cars are parking. Are they on YouTube? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram, right? Because as we're putting our content into the world, we want to make sure it is falling on the right ears, right? Or the right eyes, depending on how you're watching or consuming this content. So that's going to be really, really important. Now, here's what the old days looked like. You could go in front of a yellow car parking lot. You could put out some really awesome content. You could do a call to action and people would just buy your thing. But again, if you think about and rewind just a few moments where we were talking about the market's changed, it's a lot different, right? Hard to get through the noise, hard to get through to these buyers who have completely different ways of thinking about how they are spending their money. Now we have to do something different. So again, we used to be able to go to nurture straight to convert. Now those days are gone. And so what we have to do instead is we have to add another layer to it, which is our nurture space. This is where we actually have to go from content to conversation, right? And so for example, if I have a piece of content that I put out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it may be, right? And I have people that are engaging just like I'm asking you guys to do in the chat right now. One of the most important things is that I acknowledge what you're saying, right? Because here's the thing. If you start talking back to your audience, guess what they're going to do more of? They're going to talk to you more, right? And so again, it's this idea between like push marketing where you're just speaking at people versus engagement marketing where we're having an actual conversation, right? As I'm talking to you, I'm wanting you guys to comment and chat and, really feel like you are part of this conversation because here's the thing. It's all about making sure that your needs are met and that you can see in what I'm saying, okay, yes, I can see how her offer or her support would actually move the needle forward. So what we want to talk about when we get into the tactics of filling your DMs with conversations that actually convert, it is going to be this very important piece, which is the nurture strategy. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. For example, as Deidre explained before, I am like the biggest proprietor of doing a Facebook community. And the reason why, and to be frank, right, we see people that will go to YouTube, Instagram, and even Facebook to do the lead gen. But let me tell you, they are all pushing you into a Facebook group as the place to nurture you. And the reason is Instagram and things like that. Again, it's very push marketing where we're just like talking at you. I want to be in a space where I actually get to know you, your problems, your fears, your frustrations, so that when I make you an offer, I'm actually making you an offer that is relative to your problem. How many of you guys have ever felt like you watch content or you go to someone's page or you look at their stuff and it's literally just offer, 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 buy my thing, right? If you've ever experienced that, say me in the chat. And I want you to think about just for a second how that makes you feel. For me, it makes me feel like a number. It makes me feel like someone's just like, I'll take all the money I can. Let's just throw out all the offers and hope whatever sticks. And it doesn't really feel that great, right? And so here's the analogy I use all the time. If someone were to come into your home and you were like, welcome, hey, the bar's over there, go ahead and make yourself a drink. Most of the time, if someone offers you to make yourself a drink when you walk into their home, they're like, oh, no, thanks, I'll just get a water, because that's awkward, right? To like walk into someone's home and go start whipping up a thing and uncorking and pouring. It's like awkward, right? And so people don't do it. They're like, no, thanks, I'll just take a water, right? Versus if you walked into my home and I was like, Donna, I know that you're so excited because you just won a prize and I have your favorite Chardonnay and I got you a drink. Would you like it? You're going to be like, oh my gosh, she knows I'm excited. I just won this prize. I'm pumped, right? And she's going to be so much more willing to accept it. Now, just to kind of break down this analogy, right, I want to kind of explain how that thinks and how that kind of relates to your social media content. You just posting content and expecting someone to come into your house and help themselves and just buy whatever it is that you're offering is the same thing as being like, help yourself to the bar. Versus if we post our content and then we get into conversation with those people who are engaging and we're in the DMs and we're like, hey, Donna, tell me why you wanted to win the prize. Tell me about your business. What are you excited about? How is what we're going to be sharing potentially going to help you get more clients, right? And then if she tells me all of her problems and her concerns and her frustrations and what's going on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Donna, I think I have something that might work for you. Would you like to learn about it? And Donna's like, oh my God, yeah, I think I would, right? Because now we have this rapport. We have a relationship. I've actually taken the time to get to know you and understand your needs and your frustrations and your goals, wishes, wants, and desires. So now when I make an offer, it is going to be relevant to the exact thing that you are struggling with. And so the likelihood of you saying yes to that offer goes up significantly because I'm standing out from the noise, right? I'm standing out because I'm the one who's taking the time to get into DMs with you. I'm the one who's actually getting to know you. And what happens is now it's not about me. It's about you and your needs and what solution is right for you, right? And so this is exactly what we want to be doing, you guys, when we are on social media. So we want to put our content out into the world in front of our yellow car parking lots where everybody is a yellow car, AKA your ideal client, is like, oh my gosh, I have this problem. She has this solution. Then what we do is we invite them into some sort of nurture space. And again, that can be in the DMs. That could be in a Facebook group. It could be even in your email list, right? But what we want to be doing is we want to go into a place where we're nurturing. And so I want to just spend a little bit of time and kind of talk about, well, what is it and what does it mean to actually nurture, right? And so when we talk about nurturing, like I said, it really just comes down to really understanding the person's needs, right? We call it uncovering needs in our strategy that we teach. And it's really truly about taking the time to say, what are the things? What are your goals? What have you tried before? What is working? What's not working? What are the things that you want to do, and to understand that before we ever dare make an offer, right? And so what I'd love for you guys to kind of see, and maybe Deidre, if you're looking at any of the comments, I'd love to just kind of understand from your guys' perspective, is this a piece that you are doing? So for example, if you have someone who is liking, loving, or commenting on your content, are you currently sending them a DM and engaging back with them?
Ooh, great question. Okay, so while people definitely in the comments let us know, are you doing that? But so while they're doing that, Una had a question, Jenna, what if you're focused on small and medium-sized business owners on LinkedIn?
Yeah, same thing. If there is ever a place where you are putting your content out into the world, you absolutely need to acknowledge. It is, it's super interesting, right? So I'll get on calls with people who are like, Jenna, I have no leads. And I'm like, okay, pull up your LinkedIn, pull up your Instagram, pull up all the things, right? And I'm like, okay, pull up a piece of content. And they're like, okay, I have 5 comments and 2 likes. And I'm like, what are we talking about? They're right here, right? And so the question is, what do we do with them? So what I'd love for to share with you guys while you guys are telling me if you are doing this, or if this is like, oh my gosh, Jenna, you're asking a lot here, right? Here is a very simple follow-up that you can send to any person who engages on your social media. So what I like to do, right? DMs get scary for people. The world of DMing is a weird place, right? Typically we have the cold DMers, the spammers that are just like making you cold offers, and it makes it feel very icky. And so what happens is people see these behaviors, they see that people hate it. And so instead, when it comes to DMing themselves, they're like, well, I'm just not going to do it at all because I don't want to be like that dude, right? And so what happens again is we just do nothing, and we're missing amazing opportunities, right? So if we could do it the right way, oh my gosh, let's talk about what can happen, right? So what is the right way? I'm going to give you guys the strategy because this is what is going to make it so that you feel comfortable and you feel that you are at ease when it comes to actually DMing. So we have a little bit of a formula, which is the anatomy of a DM. And I'm going to give that to you guys. So the first place, or the first thing that we want to do when we DM someone is we want to acknowledge them by their name. We want to personalize it, right? So we want to be like, hey, Donna, thank you so much, whatever, right? So we do want to personalize it to some extent, just so we know that it's not just a DM we're sending to everybody and we treat everybody like a number. So we want to be as personalized as possible. The second thing is we want to tell the person in the DM what gave us permission to DM them, right? When we feel like we have a reason to DM someone, then we'll do it. If we don't, we won't. So what we want to do is look for triggers in every single opportunity. What would trigger me to feel like I have permission to actually DM this person? Well, guess what? Them engaging on your content is the trigger, right? So when we DM them, we're going to say, thank you so much for engaging with my content on XYZ, right? So if I had a social media post that was like, hey, I've got these really awesome email templates that are going to help you nurture your Facebook group. Say email if you want them below, right? So if I'm going to follow up with the people who are now commenting on my social media posts asking for that thing, I'm going to get into the DMs with them and I'm going to say, hey, Jenna, thank you so much for requesting the emails, blah, 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 on my post. So I'm actually telling you, hey, the reason I'm DMing you is because you engaged, right? And so people don't feel yucky about it. They're actually like, oh my gosh, this person saw that I commented, saw that I engaged, and is proactively serving me. Now, again, I want you guys to just be thinking about your experience on social. Are other people doing that for you? I can tell you they're not, right? And then I want you to think from your perspective, how would it feel to you if someone was like, wow, you asked for this and now I'm going to proactively deliver and not expect you to help yourself, right? And so again, it feels really good for the person who's doing the business. It feels really good for the person who's receiving this. And that is what is really easy to kind of get you in, right? So again, when we talk about the anatomy of a great DM, we're going to personalize it, and then we're going to tell them the trigger for what it is that allowed us to feel permission to DM them. So another example could be if someone follows you on social media. Maybe they follow you on Facebook. Maybe they follow you on Instagram. Maybe they're a new connection on LinkedIn. The first thing we want to do is send that DM. Hey, Jenna, thank you for connecting with me on LinkedIn. I'm not sure if you're aware, I help people do this. I'd love to learn what you do so we can see if we might be able to collaborate and support each other. Now, anytime we send a DM, we want to always kind of turn the spotlight to them. That is another main mistake that we see when people are DMing, right? They make it about themselves. They're like, oh, do you want this? Do you want to buy this thing? And I'm like, no cold pitches, right? Make it about that person. Okay. So even if, for example, we do a social media post or we have some content that's gone out that has a call to action, for example, like the post I just talked about a moment ago where we said, hey, do you want our email templates, right? Even with something like that, when we get into the DMs with the person, we don't actually just want to send them the thing, right? Because then what happens? We've lost the conversation. Here's the thing. Every piece of content that I put out, every lead magnet, every call to action, anything I put out, the purpose is not actually for you to opt in and give me your email or for you even to consume it, because chances are, right, everything's noisy, everything's so busy, the chances of you actually getting my download and implementing it are very low, right? But again, it is a trigger for me to have a conversation. So everything I do, every time I'm like, comment this, say this, let me know if you want this, engage with my thing, follow me. All of those little, micro commitments that I'm asking you to do are really just so I can have a conversation with my yellow cards. Because the moment you click the like button, the moment you comment, or AKA honk your horn, right? To me, what that says is you have a problem I can solve, or you have a goal I can help you accomplish, and therefore you are my yellow card, right? And so again, everything that we want to be doing is actually getting into those DMs. And so we're going to have that conversation. And again, if I have a piece of content that's a lead magnet, I'm not just going to be like, awesome, thank you for asking for the thing. Here's the link to go download it. No way. What I'm actually going to do is say, awesome, hey, Jenna, thank you so much for requesting this piece of content or this thing. I'm going to send it to you in just a second. So I can ensure that this is going to be really helpful. I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about your situation, right? What have you tried? What's working? What's not working? Therefore, now we're into a full conversation in the DMs. We're building relationship. You see that I'm really focused on that nurture piece way before I ever go to make an offer, right? And again, it'll depend on how much nurturing we need to do based on the price point that you guys have, the commitment length and things like that, right? We know if you are selling something that's high ticket, we want our prospects or our leads to be in about 3 hours of content with us before they're ready to convert. If it's lower ticket, obviously it can be much quicker. But again, that nurture piece is going to be the most important. So I'm going to check back in with you and see what is the buzz? What's happening in the chats? Are people actually doing this? Or are they like, oh goodness, this is going to be something I got to step up? We want to get them in front of content. So here's kind of what we do, right? As we're in the DMs and we're having these conversations, we're uncovering people's needs, right? We're like, what have you worked on? What is working? What's not working? Tell me more. Then when they give you that information, what you can actually do is say, okay, I actually have a piece of content. Maybe we don't call it that, right? Maybe we're like, I've got a really cool training where I go into that exact thing. Would you like me to send it to you? So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to send them the link or tag them, depending on what platform I'm on, in front of other content, right? And so now I'm boosting the algorithm again and getting more comments and more engagement over there while also nurturing that lead. And think about it. If a creator, a person, an entrepreneur is actually taking the time to be like, oh my gosh, you have this problem. Let me put you in front of this exact solution. Like, the customer service stands out beyond, right? And it's this thing where you guys might be watching and listening thinking like, oh my God, Jenna, really? Like, that feels like a lot of work. But guess what? It's a lot of work doing all your content, putting out the energy, showing up in your business and getting no results. That is not fun. It doesn't feel good. And here's the thing, right? We at my company, we do this. This is like our number one thing. And I want to just share our results because I think that might give you guys a little bit of like, oh, I can do this. I surely can send an email if I can do this, right? So we have a low ticket offer when we sell our software, which is called GroupTrack. And the purpose of it is to actually help track, organize, and convert the leads that we've been talking about with this strategy. Our offer is between $97 and $197. So it is considered low ticket, right? And so we collect over $1 million a year with just that low ticket offer. And we have some coaching that we do as well, which is also low ticket. But what's so incredible about this is we do that all with a very small following on social media. I think I have like on my Instagram, maybe like 500 followers. I mean, it's minuscule, guys. Not a lot, right? We have a Facebook group that I think is maybe inching towards 4,000. I use my personal profile on Facebook, which I think is about 6,000. I mean, it's not big. Let's just be real. My following is not big. But I want to say this to prove a point, which I'll share in a moment. Okay. So low ticket offer, small following on social. And here's like the best part of all this, $0 ad spend. We have spent $0 ever at GroupTrack to collect over $1 million a year with our low ticket offer. And how do we do it? It is this exact strategy that I'm telling you. Every single person who engages on my content, I'm going to engage back with. I'm going to comment back, I'm going to react to their thing, and I'm going to get into the DMs. I'm going to uncover their needs. I'm going to connect them to other content. I'm going to nurture them. I'm going to serve them, and I'm going to support them. And the only time I'm going to make an offer is if I feel that I have a solution that I can connect to their problem, and I have permission to do so. Right?
Wow. Okay. That's a big one. I do want to, I know Una's asked a couple of questions, so I'm going to come back to her question, but just while we're talking about this, when you say when you have the permission to do so, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So I am so glad you asked this because I think when it comes to making offers, people are terrified. They're like, oh my God, how do I go from, hey, we're in the DMs and we're chatting to, do you want to buy my thing? Right? I'm going to give you guys like the easiest thing in life. Also, side note, if you guys actually want our DM anatomy, I will totally give it to you. So just say anatomy of a DM and we'll shoot it to you. But here is what we're going to say. So we're in the DMs and we're talking, right? We're like, oh, what are you struggling with? Blah, blah, blah. We're like feeling it out. We're going. And by the way, this isn't even a live conversation. This could go on over days because you know, Jan is at the parking or pickup line with her kid, and that's when she responds, right? So I want you to be clear too. This isn't like it has to be live. Like I'll talk to people over weeks, right? So we're getting them in front of content relevant to their problem. And then when we realize, okay, they definitely have a problem, and then we recognize, okay, we are the guy or the girl that has got the solution, like we can really serve them. All we're going to say to them is, amazing. Is this something you think that you'd like to implement in your business, in your life, in your relationship, in whatever it is, right, that your industry needs? Is this something you think you could do in your business? And they're like, yeah, I think so. Okay. Is this something that you want to try to do on your own? Or would you like to learn about how we might be able to support you in getting those results a little quicker? That's it. That's the offer.
Oh.
That's it.
That is so stupidly simple, like stupid in a good way, like stupidly simple.
That's why I love it. I mean, it's the lazy, stupid way to run your business.
Right, yeah.
And that's why I love your intro because I'm like, look, I don't want to work a lot. I want to be with my kids. I want to give amazing service because that's who I am. And I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours, right? And that's where, obviously, with our tool GroupTrack, doing what we're telling you becomes so much easier because we can automate a lot of it, track a lot, it becomes a lot easier. But that's the thing. It's like people don't want to make offers. And I think here's the like crux, right? We know we should DM, but we don't want to be that cold DM weirdo. So we don't do it. We know we need to make offers, but we don't want to be the slimy salesman. So we don't do it. Well, what if we could just do it in a way that feels really good to our soul? It feels good for us. It feels good for them. And if we decide, you know what, I've got the solution to your problem, let's make it work. Why would we not offer that, right? And so when you have the language, is that something you want to do on your own, or would you like to learn about how we might be able to support you in doing it with a little bit of help? Of course, I want to learn more about that, right?
Yeah.
It is such an easy, soft offer. No one feels yucky about making it. No one feels yucky about receiving it. And that's how we make sales.
That's awesome. And have you ever actually had anyone say, you know what, I'm good?
Yes. Yes. And wonderful. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move you in the stage of my pipeline to just say, not ready right now. And that's perfectly fine, because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set a reminder in my system to follow up with you in a month or two and say, hey, I know you were going to implement this on your own. How did it go? And guess what? I kind of love when you tell me, no, I'm going to do it on my own, because chances are you're not, right? We don't save the space. We get lost. We're like, oh my gosh, I have to recreate the wheel. This feels hard. And so when I am able to follow up with someone and say, hey, I know that we talked about, you were going to try this. How is it going? I wanted to follow up. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know, I didn't do it. Well, okay, would you like to talk about how we might be able to help you save the space and get it implemented? They're even more ready to start then, right? And so here's the truth, right? When it comes to sales, we simply want to get them to 100% yes or 100% no. And both are wonderful. And I think that is like, if I could also like zoom in and scream, right, with love, that's what I want you guys to hear from this. Our job is to serve and support and make offers. And that's where our job ends. Their job, the prospect, the lead, whatever you want to call them, is to decide, do I want to take this person up on this offer, yes or no? And I never feel bad if someone says no, because it means I don't have the right solution or they're not ready yet. And that's okay, because guess what? I'm going to continue to nurture, because I know in 2024, nurture is what is going to put me ahead of every other creator out there. Entrepreneur, service-based, whatever it is that you are doing, it does not matter what you sell. Nurture is going to win in 2024. And again, if we look at that funnel, we've got to do our lead gen, then we've got to nurture, convert, and then we need to retain them. And if we're skipping the nurture spot, it's going to be a very expensive lesson that you really need to do it.
Oh, so good. Okay, so Una was saying, so she's not currently doing this. She is mainly on LinkedIn. There's a couple of things. I think, can you, Jenna, just go back and clarify the part where you said in the anatomy of the DMs, the part where you're like, I want this to be helpful for you. Where when you say that, what are you? Can you just clarify again or restate? What are you sending them to? Like, what's kind of happening after that point?
Absolutely. So we'll take a few examples. Let's say you're hosting a webinar or a masterclass, or even you've put a post or content out there where you're like, hey, do you want this thing, this lead magnet, right? What our typical inclination is to do is to just send them the thing, right? So if someone says, yeah, I want to register for your masterclass, you send them the link to register. If someone says, I want to get your lead magnet, your cheat sheet, your whatever, you send them the link to get that, right? I want to say, don't do that, right? Use that as a trigger to get into a conversation. So when they say, yes, I want the thing, we're going to get into the DMs with them and we're going to say, hey, Donna, I see that you requested access to our masterclass or to our thing. Thank you so much. I'm going to send it in a second here. So I can ensure that this thing is super helpful. I'd love to just ask you a few questions about where you are in regards to XYZ. Right? So let's say if I'm doing a masterclass and they want to register, I'm going to say, okay, tell me about where you are, because during the masterclass, I'll be sure to address your specific issue. Now think about that for a second. You have a business owner that is now in the DMs with someone saying, what is your specific problem? I will make sure to address it during the masterclass that I'm going to do in front of hundreds of people. How would that make you feel as the recipient? Like, whoa, right? Yeah. And here's the beautiful thing. You better believe Donna's going to show up to that masterclass, because she's like, wait, Jenna's going to talk about my specific problem? Like, I'm going to be there. You know what I mean? It is the feeling of letting, and it's not like a show. I want to be clear about that. Like, you have to do this genuinely and actually care. But imagine, right, having these people feel like, whoa, she didn't just send me a thing. I'm not just a number. Like, she actually wants to know, right? And so again, we want to say like, yeah, so I can ensure this is going to be helpful or beneficial. Tell me a little bit about what you're trying, right? So like if it's a weight loss thing, right? And you have a cheat sheet to meal prepping, same thing. Awesome, I'm gonna shoot that over. Here's the cheat sheet. But so I can make sure that this is really helpful, and maybe I don't need to send you something else. What are you doing? How's it working? Where are you getting stuck, right? because then you can actually get into a conversation. Once you uncover those needs, you can do a couple things. You can either drive them to another piece of content, drive them to another resource, or better yet, get them on a sales call, right? Awesome. You know what? It might be actually easier if we just kind of chat and I take you through this and build out a roadmap for you. At the end, you can keep it, or if you want to see about how we can get you some support, we can talk about that too. Would you like to just hop on a call? Right? So we're driving them to the next thing. I always kind of laugh at this idea, right? Everybody's familiar with the term lead magnet, right? It's where you give them something in exchange for their contact information. But I'm like, let's talk about the word for a second. It's a lead. It's supposed to lead you somewhere. Well, in my opinion, giving an email, which most of the time people are giving you their AOL email, so let's be honest, it's not going to lead anywhere, right? The purpose is to lead them to the next step. We have to lead them there to actually get them to go, right? And so I use these pieces of content as the trigger, literally to get into the conversation, because the DM and the conversation is where the magic is going to happen.
Okay, cool. Now talk about lead magnets. So this is another question that Una had. Are we only triggering these conversations through a lead magnet style post, or when we just have like an engagement style post and we're getting comments and reactions, are we still getting people into the DMs?
I would. I mean, it is going to depend on your bandwidth and the size of your business and how badly you need sales, right? So, if we're doing really well and my capacity is a little bit lower, I may not get into the DMs with every single human who engages on my stuff. But if I'm in a place where I need like a cash injection, or I'm like, okay, like I have time, then absolutely. Now, one of the cool things is with our software, right? If you have a post, and right now it works, what I'm talking about, this feature in particular works on Facebook. But if you have a post like that, you can automate the reaction, the comment back, and the DM to start the conversation. So that saves me hours and hours and hours of time. But absolutely, like if you need clients, I would be engaging with every single person that is on my stuff and just say, thank you so much for engaging on my comment about this or that or whatever. But as part of our strategy, we run a strategy called the weekly sales formula. And this formula could be used anywhere, really, whatever platform you're using. But what we typically do is we have a rinse and repeat process that we do every single week, non-negotiable. It is happening. So what we do is every single week we pick a new content topic, right? Which is typically related to the pillars of our offer. It's one of our methods that we teach. And so every Monday we do one piece of content, which is a hand raiser. And the idea is to say, do you have this problem? If so, say me, right? Do you want this checklist? If so, say me. This week, we're doing a training on this. If you want to attend, say me. Whatever it is, Monday is always some sort of call to action post. Then what we'll do is we will combine our social media with email. So then what we do is we take our email list and we drive them directly to that piece of content, because we know algorithm craziness, right? The likelihood of our content really getting in the hands of everybody we want it to is not always that great. So we have our content, we drive email to that piece of content to boost the algorithm more. The more people who comment, the more it goes, right? So we're driving our traffic there. Then what we do throughout the week, right, is we continue to email to that piece of content, get as many engagement, comments, reactions as possible. And then what we do is every single person who comments on that post, we then are going to track them, right? Because they're all yellow cars, by the way. They're our DL clients. So we need to be like remembering that work we did with the piece of content is supposed to be to generate leads. And so if we don't capture those leads, again, it's for nothing, right? So number one, we're going to capture every lead who engages on that piece of content. Then what we're going to do is react back, reply back, and get in the DMs with every single one of those people, right? So in the DMs, we're going to say again, thank you so much for commenting on my post about XYZ. We're doing a training this Thursday. Tell me a little bit more about what you're struggling with so we can address it during the call. And then every single Friday, so we do our live training on Thursday. During the training, it's a live training. We give them what to do, not how to do it, because you got to pay for the how. And then on Friday, every single Friday, we follow up with every single person who engaged throughout the week, and we make offers, right? So we're in the DMs and we're asking, hey, is this something that you think you can implement? Is this something you like to do on your own? Or would you like to learn about how we might be able to support you in getting these results quicker? And so that is the strategy we run every single week. And that is how we get clients every single week, completely organically with zero ads.
It is about your group.
Absolutely. And you guys, you are so welcome to join our group. Whether you ever want to use our software or coaching, it doesn't matter. What is so cool, when you join our community, we are going to do our strategy with you, and you're going to be able to experience how it feels as the recipient. And it is so amazing because you're going to be like, wow, I really get served. And you know what I mean? Like, what would happen if I did this for my own community? So we would love to welcome you into our Facebook group. It is called Organic Sales System, powered by GroupTrack CRM. And you guys are absolutely welcome to join. I can drop a link if that's helpful, whatever makes sense for you guys. But you can also just go into the search bar in Facebook and say GroupTrack, and our Facebook group will pop up.
Yeah, go for it.
Absolutely. If anybody's interested, so I know we didn't really talk about the software much, but basically the idea is when you are using social media and you're doing all this content, and I'm telling you to get into the DMs and to track these people, because they are your yellow cars, they are your leads if they are engaging on your content. Our tool does that. So it is a CRM, which is a client relationship management tool that helps you track people from social media who are your leads, right, through a process to go from content all the way to your conversations and to become a client. And so you'll see that there's pipelines. You bring them through the system. You know exactly where they are. And again, it allows you to be intelligently lazy, which is my new favorite word I've ever heard, in order to do it without getting overwhelmed. So if anybody would love a free trial, you can go to www.grouptrackcrm.com. Grab a free trial. Our onboarding is amazing. We get you using the tool immediately. And once you go through it and you see what it is, people stay forever because they're like, what the heck is this magic? And the tool combined with the tactics we just shared, that is how we collect over 1 million.
Whew. All right. Gosh, every time I watch that, I'm just like, Jenna and her gems. That's how I think about it. So hopefully that was super helpful to you guys, got you really thinking about how to be more intentional. I think I saw the word intentional in the comments there with your content, but also, moving them onto the conversation. And Melissa, I believe with your question, I think Jenna kind of answered it as well around, sort of it really depends on your bandwidth. Obviously comments, the hierarchy of engagement is, sorry, I just realized my giant drink bottle is now in this is what I was doing all while Jenna was talking. Basically in the hierarchy of engagement, you kind of have shares as the highest. So people who are sharing your content are, most qualified. Now, obviously, if they're just, people that, like your family and friends, that's a little bit different. But, people who are like, wow, this is something that really resonated with me. So that's like the top most important. You definitely want to be engaging with people who are sharing your content, people who are commenting, obviously. Again, you'll have to filter out for people who are just, being nice. Maybe they're just like, it's your friend or your family, again, just supporting versus like really people who are engaging. And then you've got your reactions, like your likes, your hearts and things like that. So it really, I think, depends, like Jenna was saying, on your capacity and kind of like need around this stuff. Ideally, you want to engage with everyone. But again, if you're getting that lopsided, like you've got hundreds of likes and 4 comments, then it's probably best to share, to focus on the comments. So hopefully that's helpful, but we'll get Jenna's view on this as well. I'm glad you guys liked it. Honestly, Jenna is a beast. I say that in the nicest way possible. She is unstoppable as an entrepreneur. GroupTrack is kind of going through a rebuild at the moment. They're about to re-release it, but even the current version, we at the Capture team use it. I call ourselves like baby users of it. So the strategy that Jenna has been talking about, we've started to roll out inside of our own Facebook group. So you will see me and Deidre posting in there, following the strategy that she's been laying out. So we're like little babies in implementing it at the moment. So if you want to kind of take a peek at how that works and engage, they're more than welcome to join our group as well. I'll leave a link there. But definitely head over to Jenna's group if you are more interested in how she does this, how her team does this, and you're also really interested in GroupTrack. So the nurture experience she was talking about is actually what you'll go through when you join the group, because you'll elect what you're joining the group for. You'll get the DMs. They'll be, they'll uncover needs. They'll have the conversation. So they practice what they preach, basically, which is what I love about Jenna and GroupTrack. So yeah, I'm glad you guys really enjoyed that. I'm so sad. This is I think it's now goodbye. So I think all of the questions we've taken a look at. This is our final training session. I've had such a blast, with all of you guys, getting to know you, as well as, running these sessions and getting to share these amazing thought leaders with you. These will kind of stay on for you to watch the replay if you wanted to rewatch them, or you didn't get a chance to catch all of the sessions. So definitely go ahead and do that. If you are around tomorrow afternoon, I know it's Friday afternoon, but if you want to come hang out with us and join our closing party, we would love that. The invitation is inside of the Facebook group. You should have received it via Facebook. If you haven't, just let us know in the group and we'll tag you. I'm really, really hoping to see you all there. Awesome. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. Thanks for putting up with my croaky voice. Thank you for being awesome, and looking forward to the final day tomorrow. We'll see you in the group. And as always, keep going with your content creation and amplifying your message, because the world really needs to hear it. All right. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.